So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the recent by-election defeats for Boris Johnson and the Tory party. We'll speak about some of the things that are quite interesting for me, at least. So we'll look at the by-election results. Obviously, this 2022 by-election result versus the one from 2019. What's that? That's here. I'm blind. Sorry about that. I read 2010s. I had it all lined up and then my brain just melted. But anyways, if we have a look at these, right? So you can see the turnout back in 2019 was at almost 60,000. The turnout significantly lower here, almost down by 20% in the by-election, which happens. By-elections typically have a lower turnout. It's fine. If we look at the amount of votes actually, that was actually achieved by the parties, it's interesting to see the Lib Dems were third back in 2019, but effectively won this result. It's down to tactical voting, and we'll speak about how you can look at that in a moment. But you can see the Lib Dems won 22,000, so they had a huge vote swing of around 38%. The Tories losing 20%, 21% here, almost 22%. And this is a Tory safe seat here. They've held this for a long, long time. A very long time they've held this seat. They've lost a safe seat here, in the Tory heartlands, effectively, the rural communities. And you can see the tactical voting because you can see the Labour vote tanking by about 15%. Because obviously people realised the best way to defeat the Conservative Party, despite the fact that the Labour Party came second, is to vote Lib Dems. Quite interesting. Labour potentially, I think, lost their deposit. That's how bad the voting was. But you can see there was a lower turnout, and that's one of the reasons why people are trying to downplay this victory for the Lib Dem Party. But I think it's a pretty good result. Going from doubling their votes, if it can hold into the next election, it'd be pretty great for them. But overall, you can see a fantastic result for the Lib Dem Party. We go over to Labour now in Wakefield, and you've got a lot more candidates here, so it's a bit harder to look at the numbers. But what you can see from this is, the Labour Party got an 8.1% swing in their favour. You can see that the turnout was 25% lower almost than 2019, which is a very low turnout, which could be indicative of both major parties struggling to really get out the vote, essentially. But the Labour Party doing enough. This is a typical Labour seat, in fairness. It's meant to be anyways, and it's in the red wall, which the Labour Party need to win back. You can see here, the Conservative Party went down by, lost about 17% of the votes. It's just crazy, how much it's kind of plummeted here. 17%. You've got 21% here in Hornerton and Tiverton, or Tiverton and Hornerton. It's just wild, isn't it, that they've lost so much in terms of votes. Obviously, the turnout is a big factor, but getting out the vote is so important here. And we've seen, I've seen a video from the Byline Times, which effectively voters said they're not going to vote for Boris Johnson. I think these were people in Wakefield who said they wouldn't come out and vote for the Tories. They didn't say if they'd vote Labour or any other party, but from the fact that the Tory party won these seats, the red wall seats, by energising new voters, effectively. Not new in the sense of they haven't voted, but people who haven't voted Tory before. That's how the Conservative Party won, and effectively they couldn't re-energise these people to come out. So it might be the case that they didn't come out and vote at all, or it might be the case they voted for some of the other many different candidates here. You can also see the Lib Dem vote fell by 2.1%, and that's probably down to the fact that more people voted Labour. That probably fed into this plus 8.1% figure. I think if I were the Conservatives, I'd be more afraid of losing the Tiverton seat, to be honest, because this is, Tory heartlands, meant to be quite safe, and they've lost it by, a significant amount here. The Liberal Democrat candidate winning by over 50% of the votes. If we look at, how well they did last time in 2019 even, they won by, over 60% of the vote share. That's a crazy drop off. Obviously, this isn't indicative of how well they will do in the general election. Chances are the Tories can win back this seat, but with Boris Johnson there, that's not, going to be 100% true. You've got the Lib Dem candidate saying it's time for the Tories to go. The Conservative co-chairman, Oliver Dowden, quit after the by-election. We'll talk about that last story in a moment. There was one more thing. So this is the last thing I want to talk about, which is some polling here from James Johnson. I think he works for YouGov, I'm going to say. He ran polling at number 10, co-founder of... Nope, he doesn't work for YouGov, but he's pretty respected in the polling industry. Someone we spoke about before. They do a lot of focus groups, etc. And he goes, the main reason why the Wakefield swing voters chose Labour was because Boris Johnson tried to cover up Partygate. If we actually have a look at the numbers here, right? You've got Boris Johnson tried to cover up Partygate. And these are the people who wouldn't turn out for Johnson. You got 40% or 40 people, I'm assuming, saying that. 39 saying Boris Johnson is not in touch with working class people, which is something he portrayed back in 2019, that he understood working class people level up. The Conservatives are not doing enough to help with the cost of living. The Conservatives have raised taxes on ordinary people at the NHS backlog under the Tories. The Conservatives have shown they don't care about the cost of living crisis. They cut police in Wakefield, underfunded the NHS in Wakefield. Conservatives not delivered the promises for Wakefield made in the 2019 elections. So even without Partygate, you can see a significant amount of people in Wakefield realising in the end the Conservative Party didn't actually believe in them. And Boris Johnson, being the unique candidate he is the one that helped them win these seats in the Red Wall. That will probably never happen again for a long time, winning en masse Red Wall voters. And if we look at this, right, this is probably one of the worst, funniest and worst stories come out of this. So a Tory MP blames party's disastrous Tiverton and Horniton by-election loss on women. He blames women, yes. So some Tory MPs are blaming, I'll do a more in-depth analysis on this article, but some Tory MPs are blaming women within the party for a disastrous by-election defeat in Horniton and Tiverton. Sorry, I keep flipping them. Which one MP saying those who spoke about the MP watching adult content in the House of Commons should feel like a turd in a swimming pool. So essentially saying the women who reported this guy committing, I think, potentially a crime. I don't know if it's illegal to do that, but, you know, doing something incredibly weird. I don't even know how to explain it, but watching explicit videos, being surrounded by other people who do not consent to it, it's very immoral behaviour. You know, the by-election was triggered by local MP Neil Parish resigning after he admitted to watching adult content in Parliament. The Tory announced he would quit for the Devon constituency after saying that he had twice watched it in the Commons chamber. I mean, Jesus, man. And, you know, they're blaming women within the Tory party who reported the guy, the MP, right? And so we don't know who the MPs are that, you know, are complaining about this. But I think we know some of the ones that went public and reported this guy in the first place. And they're probably feeling like the Tory party isn't a place for women. You know, there are a lot of deviants, especially, you know, in the House of Commons, especially within the Tory party, who have made women, you know, incredibly uncomfortable with what they've said and what they've done. You know, some very borderline illegal stuff here that could or should be reported to the police. And so now you've got a Conservative Party now that's blaming the women who reported this man for watching this content in the House of Commons for their election loss in Horniton and Tiverton. So what that tells you is, instead of reflecting as to why they lost this Tory safe seat, they're going to blame women in the party and make the party far more toxic and misogynistic, which won't encourage people to vote for them, especially not women. If you're a woman, why would you vote for the Tory party, especially when some of the people in the Tory party support the anti-abortion stance that was taken by the Supreme Court in America recently? There was someone who retweeted the post of the GOP. So again, you know, the Tory party find themselves in a very dangerous position here, with them alienating more and more women in the party, and no doubt this will exude outside of the party, and women make up a significant block of the voter base. You've got them losing a safe seat in Tiverton. In Tiverton and Horniton. You got them losing a Red Wall seat in Wakefield, one they didn't expect to keep long term. But the whole point of Johnson is he's meant to unite the South and the North. You've got these MPs saying it's time to go. The Lib Dems calling for him to go, that his time is up. And it's just wild to me that, you know, a guy who tried to create such a broad church for the Conservative Party is now failing in the South and in the North. The South, where the Lib Dems have a shot at winning seats, and the North, where the Labour Party have a chance of winning seats. So essentially, Johnson, by winning that huge majority and his stupid actions, and the fact that the Tories don't actually have any policies to help these people, means that he could cannibalise a lot of the new Tory support and the old Tory support, and that puts the party in a very dangerous position, and I am all for it. But the one thing we have to remember is this man is the Teflon Don. He does not die. So I don't know where we go from here, and the damage he's done to the country is terrible. But I hope the people of Wakefield realised, don't vote Tory, because they will not help you. They don't care about the poorer people in society. They don't care about, you know, arguably lower middle class people in society. The only people they care about is the rich, and if you ain't rich, you should not be voting Tory. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.